On Two Wheels this week, Wayne and I get all trendy on a couple of Kymco scooters. And we go behind the scenes with Max Biaggi and Carlos Checa at Yamaha in Japan. Some bikers tell us about their heroes, but first, here's Jeff with Victory's brand new Sport Cruiser.
Now remember last week we brought you a road test of the Cruiser? Well, this week it's the turn of the Cruiser Sport. A bit more my cup of tea. The Sport Cruiser, a new concept blending a big American cruiser with a sort of Euro street fighter. It shares much of its running gear with the V92C Cruiser, but has got a completely different feel to it. Now this is the new sporty Jeff Stone and his sporty outfit. And why? Because this is the Victory Sports Cruiser. Remember last week we did the ordinary Cruiser? Well, this is it, the V92 SC Sport Cruiser. Basically the same engine, another 10 brake horsepower, but it's air and oil cooled, hence you've got the fins here. Visually it's very different because it's got a twin exhaust, 2-into-1, into that massive single silencer at the back. But when you move up to the front, another difference, these absolutely massive fork stanchions. They're 50mm in diameter, that's 2 inches. It's something a scaffolder would be proud of. And coming down here to the front wheel, up an inch. It might not seem a lot, but visually it is. It makes them look much bigger. 17-inch wheels, better choice of tyres, twin discs, Brembo calipers. It's a sporty bike. All right, it's not that sporty, but it's these changes that alter its character. It rides slightly higher and handles sharper thanks to the bigger wheels. Performance-wise, that extra 10 brake horsepower and a less restrictive exhaust, coupled to the same tree-pulling stomp of its cousin Cruiser, makes it feel a completely different bike. Okay, the sun's out again. It's time for jackets off, because it's that sort of weather. Interestingly, while I take this off, this is a Victory jacket, and in there is a whole exploded diagram of the engine components. Very, very useful. Well, very interesting to me, being a bit of an anorak. But anyway, on the floor it goes. Sitting on the bike, again, it's got that same low seat height, but it's also still a hefty bike, 286 kilos, so it's no lightweight. Shade lighter than the ordinary Cruiser, but nevertheless pretty chunky. But what you've got here with these lower bars, still spread out, but they're lower, more pulled back. You feel as though you're sitting more in the bike and the bike's got a tighter feel, so you really are part of it. Very much this sort of street fighter feel to it. The controls, just the same as the Cruiser, it's same as the handlebar switches and all the rest of it. And the digital display down there, all of that is exactly the same. But it's the whole feel of this bike that's different. You're tucked in, you've got footrests of course, instead of the footboards. So it is very much sort of sporty orientated. Low speed handling is really easy with all that low down weight and a very, very flexible motor. On the open road, the handling holds no nasty surprises either. It's good, as long as you bear in mind that this ain't no sports bike. Well, not in the Euro mould anyway. It's nearer to a V-Max than a Mad Max. No knee downs, but it's a punchy performer in its own brutish way. Respect is its watchword. Treat it as a low-slung bruiser. It's not meant to compete with high-performance middleweights. But this doesn't spoil the ride. It complements it. Savour that 1.5 litres of American muscle pounding away beneath you. Roll it off and enjoy making almost stately progress on just a whiff of throttle. Now, I've been a bit selfish on this bike. I've been talking about me and it's a sports bike, but there is space for a pillion passenger here. So in a reflective mood, see, reflective? In a reflective mood, I thought, let's have a look at the pillion pad. And it doesn't take much looking at because it's very, very small. And when I actually sat on it, you can actually feel that it's quite small. But just like the Cruiser, this bike has got a whole range of accessories to go with it, and it includes bigger seats. So no matter how big the seat of your pillion passenger, whether it's male or female, they can be accommodated on the Victory SC. It's all about style, of course, Cruiser or Bruiser. It appeals to me more than a Cruiser, but that's a personal preference towards sports bikes, which this isn't. But it does have a certain edge to it. It goes, it sounds, and it stops people in their tracks. What more could a cruising dude want? Cost? It'll cost you £11,995 on the road, and it's coming to a dealer near you soon. Watch the bike press for the latest details.
At Yamaha's Hamamatsu home, there's more than just the current production and research and development offices of a major motor manufacturer. You're surrounded by history in a vast museum of achievement which includes every Yamaha ever made, from the very first to the latest R1.
Well, at this moment I'm sitting on my friend's bike, and here we can have Kenny's and Ago's bike. It's quite nice to come here and to see all the history of Yamaha, no?
Carlos Checa and his Yamaha teammate Max Biaggi were both impressed by the museum. Easy to understand when you're surrounded by names that belong in legend.
It is quite interesting because here you can see so many bikes, and also all the history bike, the racing bike from 1980 to 1919, and to this also our last bike.
For one of the modern world champions, there's a rare chance to see for himself just how much men and machines have changed over the years.
As you can see, the tank is very small, so they didn't push the arms into the tank like this. Now we are doing like this, but the tank, the actual tank is bigger, so it's just a different style. Now we are more leaning, more put the body out of the bike, and long time ago there was just moving from left to right without move the pump from the seat.
If the museum is large, the assembly plant is even bigger. A vast auditorium devoted to the intricate rituals of mass production.
We are making 10 Wagetaro 500 per year. At the same time, we are making 80,000 R1 and R6, such type of production line. So this is, now, this year's condition.
As you can see, they never stop working. They start from a naked frame and they finish with a perfect bike.
The most impressed for me is when you see the engine and the chassis alone with anything, and in just 200 meters at the end you can see all the bike completely finished, no?
With racing and manufacturing so closely allied in spirit as well as location, there's a clear line of descent from racetrack to road.
We transfer this technology to the production machine. So even now we have many Yamaha machine has YPVS and aluminum delta box and monocross suspension like that, you know. So it's very, very obvious that racing technology feedback to production machine technology.
We are here inside the Yamaha factory, and only a few kilometers from the bench where they're working. And here you can test in reality what you've done on the dyno.
This visit provides a valuable opportunity for the racers to exchange information with Kyoji Namba, the factory's own test rider.
He knows very well my riding style, what I like or what not like. And just he's now testing engine parts, different things. And normally we talk about what is the new things he's working on and what he's testing and what is the direction also Yamaha is going.
Coming up after the break on Two Wheels, some bikers tell us about their biking heroes, and Wayne and I ride a couple of Kymco scooters, and we've some important news about next week's show.
Biking hero, well, probably one of my biking heroes has got to be Barry Sheene, because I mean, he was just the man, wasn't he? When we were younger, in the late, late 70s. I mean, he was a top man on the bike. He was winning everything. He was British, and then Kenny Roberts came along as well. He started buggering it all up, sliding it round everywhere. And again, Kenny Roberts is a good one. But I think Barry Sheene. And if you had to go to modern days, well, you'd have to go for Foggy, wouldn't you? Really, I think.
Foggy's my favourite hero because he's a pretty local lad to where I live, and he tries every time he goes out on the track, and he's the best.
It's got to be actually Leon Haslam, actually, because he's young, up-and-coming star. He's got a lot of potential, good rider. He's dedicated, rides hard, and I've ridden against him and he stuffed me, and I was very embarrassed because he was about this big and I was like this big. But yeah, up-and-coming star, one to watch. So Leon Haslam's got to be the man.
I suppose everyone says Carl Fogarty, but he's one of them. But again, Liam Haslam, young up-and-coming star. He's been on the track. Mates had a race against him and failed miserably, so probably got to be Liam Haslam.
Yeah, my biking hero's got to be Barry Sheene. I mean, the guy was an absolute hero of mine. I've never seen anybody smile as much when they lost, and I've never seen anybody take losing with such good grace. And not only that, when the guy came off at Daytona at 160 odd mile an hour and they rebuilt him, and then he jumped straight back on the bike again, that takes guts. Let's face it, there's not been anybody with that type of personality in biking since.
Look at that, what a marvellous erection. Eh? A beautiful Ironbridge. In fact, we are at Ironbridge in Shropshire, and this is the birthplace of industry, so they say. But obviously that was many, many moons ago. And many moons ago, when I was a little nipper, Vespas and Lambrettas, those were the scooters that everybody had. But not nowadays. People have things like this. This shining example of a modern scooter by Kymco. In fact, it's called the Ego, Ego 125. Hey, there's a name, isn't it? The Ego.
Well, if you think that's a good name, how about this for the name of a scooter? It's called a Super 950. 950? That's what I thought when I first looked, but it's not quite what you think. It's not the very latest in compact superbikes. Super 9 is the model name, and 50 is the cc. It's a water-cooled 50cc, this, again, from Kymco. It's no secret that scooters from the Far East have in the past been criticised for their finish and lack of styling. But oh, how things have changed. these two beauties have all the elegance and style of any modern Italian job. I'm sure if you removed all of the badges and sat any of these machines next to the best that Italy had to offer, you'd be hard pushed to tell them apart. These two sit very proudly at the very top of the Kymco range.
Top model is exactly what this is. In fact, I would say if this was a motor car, I would have the Vanden Plas or the gear label on it because it's luxurious. It's also very stylish. Now, it's something we've said about some of the Taiwanese products in the past, that they've perhaps been lacking in style. The quality's there, the value for money's there, coming from the Far East, but they've always been just a tad ugly in my eyes anyway, but this has definitely got it. It's got style, and this has all been helped by some European influence, and you can see it. There's no doubt about it. You would normally label this as Italian. Well, it's not, but the style is there. In fact, if you look at this, it's like a superbike with the side lights up the top here and two separate headlights. And as you look down at the bottom, it's got the wide front tyre. It's a 120 section front tyre on a 12-inch rim, and then this great big mudguard. And if you look at the whole piece from perhaps this point downwards, you'd swear it looked like a great big sports tourer. Wouldn't you say so, Paul?
I would, mate. I totally agree. This is a similar kind of tail, really. Again, European styling. I mean, the way it's finished and everything is absolutely beautiful. You can't fault it on finish. And again, on the front, very kind of space-agey, almost motorbikey. What I like about this one is you've got these V's here, which makes it look a bit like a Citroen, but it's not, still a Kymco. These V's here, in fact, if you turn the tyre straight, you've got V's on the tread, V's there, V under there, and even got V's on the seat. So they've actually thought about this. It's all aesthetically very, very pleasing. And the seat, of course, being a modern scooter, as we all know now, we don't have to keep telling you this, they lift up and there's a big compartment under there, and you can plonk your helmet or a little bit of shopping in there. And it's the same for that one over there with Wayne's, but Wayne's got an even bigger hole, haven't you, Wayne?
I assume he is referring to this cavernous space under my seat and not my mouth. And in this cavernous place here, where we can put our crash helmet, a full face one at that, in fact is a light as well. Top model, very posh. There's not only a light inside here, there's also a light on the dashboard to remind you if your seat isn't locked properly. Talking about the dashboard, neat little unit with all the information you need, including the temperature gauge, because this is a water-cooled 4-stroke 125. The temperature gauge will keep you informed of how things are running. There's a petrol cap on the front of the bike down there, rather than underneath the seat, which is the norm on a lot of scooters. Easy access, quicker to fill up, the passenger doesn't have to get off. And referring to passenger here, look at the grab handles we've got. Superb grab handles and a bit of a carrier at the back, so you can carry a passenger very comfortably. Passenger's feet would be placed here, allowing you, the rider, to lean back and put your feet up here in a lovely sort of feet forward, comfortable riding position. I bet yours hasn't got that, has it, Paul, eh?
It hasn't actually, no. You're just rubbing it in, aren't you? Because yours is slightly posher. Mine hasn't got that, no. It's got footboards, of course, but you can't ride feet forward because, well, because you just can't, basically, unless you want to put them all over this beautiful bodywork and scratch it. But it doesn't mean it's uncomfortable. It just means it's more of a, shall we say, a more conventional motorcycling sort of riding position, feet straight down towards the ground. Not so bad. I haven't got a big fancy grab rail, but I've got this little casting on the back here which you can get a few fingers underneath, so a pillion passenger could hang on. We've even got little pillion footrest there, but I really don't see the point of anything to do with pillions on this because it's 50cc, yeah, water-cooled 50cc, which means that it'll do 40 mile an hour all day long. It'll do 50 mile an hour down a hill. When you come to a slight climb, you're down to 35, and if it's a prolonged climb, you're really down to 30 miles an hour. But in a busy city, you probably can't do much more than that anyway, so speed probably the only thing I can criticise this one on at the moment. The truth of the matter is that apart from its lack of power, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this little Super 950. The level of equipment offered is just as good as the bigger, more powerful machines in the range, and provided you're not a performance freak, it'll do everything you need perfectly well.
So where will you find these scoots? Well, you'll find many a different make of scoot in various different places. Obviously, the motorcycle dealerships, but you'll also find them in push bike shops, caravan shops and car showrooms. In fact, these babies are seen in Chrysler dealerships and in fact Jaguar. And there's also another association with Jaguar because this baby, this particular one, this one I'm sat on, has been ridden by Eddie Irvine, used at Silverstone at the British Grand Prix for the Formula One Championship. So it's obviously had some famous connections. If it's good enough for them, hey, it's good enough for everybody else.
Am I supposed to be impressed by that?
Yeah, of course you are.
Yeah, I'm impressed by Eddie Irvine sitting on it, not particularly you. But I have to say that it doesn't need that to impress you, because when you look at them and get close to them and touch them and feel them, you realise this is quality stuff, this now. Taiwanese made, but it's as good as anything to come out of Europe. It's got your Italian and European styling and flair, really finished beautifully well. And if you wanted one of these, 50cc liquid cooled, this one, remember, £1,745 would put this little baby on the road. Now Wayne gets much more expenses than me, which is why we've given him the 125, which is slightly dearer.
And that's because I'm worth it. Yes, this particular one is £2,495. Yes, quite a bit more expensive, but then again, it is a 4-stroke 125. 4-stroke engines are costly items to make. It's very economical to run. It's a bigger machine, top model as well. Now, 2,500 quid, you think, woof, big bucks, but then again, there are many 50cc scoots that are over £2,000 at 50cc, so I think it's damn good value for money. And I reckon you wish you were on it, don't you, mate? Well, that's your lot from Two Wheels this week. Now, I've got to go and find the keys for the 125 before Paul does, so we can have a ride. But I want to tell you about next week's programme, because next week we're celebrating the 200th programme. I think that's something to be proud of, and we are. And we're going to bring to you all sorts of different images. Things we've done in the past, various different stars we've shown you, different presenters, different bikes, and some of the outtakes, because they do entertain us, and we know they'll entertain you. So that's next week's programme. You definitely better watch. But Paul is down there at the moment in the caravan there in our holiday home making a brew, so I'm going to join him. So make sure you watch next week's programme. See ya! Oh, you